I'm going on a little adventure today, and I hope the format of this video isn't too weird, but in my head it just makes sense. I wanted to share some life updates while also going to hopefully see some manatees. I know it's kind of random, but in my head it's just making sense. I know that I was back up posting videos again, then I kind of fell off. So I wanted to just share something that I went through last week that I didn't share about on here because I honestly didn't know if it was going to be something that I wanted to talk about or not. But if you follow me over on Instagram, I did share a bit about it last Monday. So I'm going to talk through it and then also bring you to a manatee viewing center here just outside of Tampa in Apollo Beach. I just had this idea the other day to come and see manatees, and when I looked it up I realized today, April 15th, is actually the last day that the viewing center is open for the season because the water, once it gets too warm, the manatees leave. So I figured it's kind of like a jam-packed adventure and update video, so let's get into it. Long story short, I had my first ever surgery, which I know is a little mind-blowing as someone that lives with a physical disability that has cerebral palsy. I've met so many people that have had dozens of surgeries growing up, but I somehow, for some reason, never needed one. There were a few surgeries that the doctors recommended when I was younger, but ultimately my parents decided not to move forward. I don't really know all the reasoning. I think maybe there wasn't a lot of research done. Some of it was kind of just like, oh, let's do surgery and see if it helps. So they ultimately decided not to. But here I am now, 32 years old, and last week I underwent a small procedure. I don't really want to get into the details of the procedure, but I'll preface it by saying everything is okay. I already got, I heard back from my doctor, everything went well. I do have a follow-up later this week, but nothing to be concerned about. Honestly, the procedure itself really did not worry me, but what did is that it was my very first time going under anesthesia, and just the thought of it really scares me. And in general, I am someone who, even thinking about veins and needles and broken bones and stuff, I just have a physical reaction. I feel that I just really don't like it. It makes me nauseous. I've never passed out while getting blood work, but it's just a feeling I don't like. So that said, having my first scheduled hospital stay was very intimidating, and I felt a lot of anxiety leading up to it, and I just wasn't in a headspace to be creating content, and I also didn't know if I was going to share about it. So I think I just wanted to generally talk about what it was like, especially with cerebral palsy. Going under anesthesia was just kind of nerve-wracking. They ask you all those scary questions leading up to a procedure, the morning of, have you ever gone under anesthesia before? Do you react well to it? Do you have a will? Are you willing to do a blood transfusion? And all these scary things. And having never gone under anesthesia before, I didn't know the answers. I'm like, I've never done this before, so I hope I react well, but I just don't know. So I think, with anything, the first time is always the scariest. And then I also, for some reason, did not realize that I would have to get a breathing tube while also going under general anesthesia. I was already in the pre-op waiting for them to roll me back. The anesthesiologist came in and was talking to me, and she was like, yeah, you're getting anesthesia and a breathing tube, and that really threw me for a loop. I was like, what? But at that point it had to happen regardless. But hindsight, everything was totally fine. I woke up after the procedure was done, didn't even know I had a breathing tube in. I thought that I was going to remember it. I did not. I think there's a lot of hype going into a procedure, and there's a lot of doctors and nurses and IVs and all of that I really don't like. But in hindsight, everything went as smoothly as it could possibly go. My procedure was done at Tampa General in Tampa, and every single nurse and doctor that I spoke to while I was there was absolutely incredible. So I can't be more grateful with how positive my first ever surgery experience went. I was scared with cerebral palsy. It's my muscles are tight, so if I'm totally out of it due to anesthesia, what if they move me a certain way that ends up hurting me? But I talked through all my concerns with the different doctors and specialists before I went under, and they were all aware, of course, of my cerebral palsy, and there were no issues whatsoever. And that said, my procedure did not have anything to do with CP. I did want to say that, this wasn't anything to help with CP. It just was something different. Again, don't want to really get into it, but yeah, everything went well. That was last Monday. So, that whole day, Monday, I was in and out of the hospital same day. I didn't have to stay overnight. And then I went home to my apartment. My best friend, roommate, drove me home, of course. I didn't drive. And I've just been resting. This is the first time in over a decade that I just napped every single day for like a week. Just taking like very minimal pain meds and just taking it easy, not to overdo it. You know, I can't exercise, I can't, just kind of basic things. So this past week was very kind of like a conflicting feelings. You know, on one end, I'm happy that it's over with. I'm happy that I got positive results, of everything went well. It was nice to kind of have a reason to just lounge and, you know, lay in bed all day. But at the same time, I think whenever I have those moments, I'm like antsy to like do stuff, and I'm like, because I can't go out and because I don't have the energy to like make content, like I suddenly want to do it so bad. So it's kind of having that balance of like listening to my body, taking the rest that I need, and, you know, trusting that when it's time for me to get back into it, I'll do it in a time frame that works best for me. So here I am, you know, over a week later from my procedure. I'm feeling good, and it's been such beautiful weather in Tampa that I really just wanted to get out and have my first kind of like big outing, and I figured I'd vlog about it. I wanted to share that update with you, and for everyone who does follow me on Instagram, I wanted to thank you so much for all of the kind messages and comments that I received after I shared it. It was certainly a very, very scary experience for me. You know, it was my first time getting IVs put in me. It was my first time going under anesthesia, my first surgery. But, you know, in hindsight, everything worked out. And now that I've overcome it and I'm past it, you know, I just feel so proud of myself for doing it. And now I can get back into what I love doing, and that is making videos. So today's video is going to be me checking out this Manatee Viewing Center here in Apollo Beach, Florida. Hopefully I will see some manatees. I looked it up online before I came. It looks like it's accessible. Of course, I have Scoots with me. So regardless, it's a beautiful day, and I'm excited to be outside. I'm excited to be vlogging. I'm excited to be updating you guys and have a little bit of an adventure. So let's go check it out. I read online that it's accessible, so hopefully there will be no issues. Sadly, I think it's too warm for the manatees, but I did see one. Okay, I know I'm goofy, but it's still such a beautiful day out, so I'm not complaining, but now I know next year to come when it is cold. Found another manatee here. It's so pretty, painted with other manatees on it. But I have to say, this whole area is super accessible. There are stairs, but there's also tons of ramps to get everywhere you need to be. So very impressed with that. And while I was in the manatee viewing area, they play audio sharing like fun facts about the manatee, so I learned a lot. And this is actually a plant by TECO, which is the electric company for Tampa. And they said that all the employees here, or at least most of them, are retired Tampa Electric Company employees, which I thought was really cool. And they do a lot to make sure that the manatees are safe and giving back to nature. So I loved it. Definitely a fun little excursion if you're in the Tampa Bay area to check out, but I would recommend when it's a little bit colder than mid-April. I realized there's a whole other area, this super long boardwalk that goes over the water. You can see the mangroves over there. There's tons of signs of the different fish or birds that you'll see while you're out here. So even though I unfortunately didn't see any manatees, I've seen tons of fish and birds, and it's just a beautiful day to get outside. When they were sharing like facts about them, They said this specific spot has had 300 manatees here at one time. I'm so upset that there are none here now, but I can't imagine being out on this platform and there being over, you know, hundreds of manatees surrounding. So definitely have to come back when the water is colder, but this is such a cute little area. They have concessions where you can get something to eat, drink, snack, a little gift shop. But yeah, I'm really happy I got out. It was a good little outing for today, especially being cooped up in my apartment the past week as I rested and recovered from my surgery. So I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a Floridian since birth, maybe because I'm a Scorpio. I just love being near the water. And it's so pretty. And like I don't think it's safe for me to go kayaking by myself or anything like that, but on a day like today to have just like an accessible boardwalk with access to this and it's free, you know, it makes me so happy and appreciative, and I thank you for watching along. Loaded back up in my car, got Scoots on the back. I'm about to head home, but what a wholesome morning that was. You know, I think whenever I do stuff like this, I am just so appreciative to live in Florida where there is so many different just natural beauty around me. And I think, you know, even just now I went on a little trail through the mangroves that opened up into the water, and it reminded me when I was in Costa Rica, and during my trip to Costa Rica, we went on so many trips to national parks, and I'm like, why don't I do that where I live? So if anyone needs a little boost to just explore where you live, be a tourist where you live, I hope that you do it. I really enjoyed that, and while unfortunately I didn't see any manatees, which is so sad, but I guess to be expected because it's, you know, it's warmed up the 2 hours I was there. You know, it was kind of like in the 60s when I got here. Now it feels closer to 80s, so the water is just a little too warm. But I did see some dolphins, which was so amazing, and I tried recording it. I'm gonna look back and see if I caught any on camera. If I did, I will add it here to the video. I didn't see manatees, but I saw dolphins. I got to spend a wholesome morning just in nature, disconnecting for a little bit. I know that I vlogged as well, but it was just really nice to get outside and enjoy the beautiful weather with beautiful views. I know this video was a little bit all over the place with my updates at the beginning and then bringing you along with me for a little adventure, but I appreciate you sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. If you don't subscribe, make sure you do. Any comments, likes are so appreciative. Helps me so much as I continue to do this kind of YouTube journey and figure it out along the way. But thank you for watching. Thank you in advance for all of the kind words, and I will see you guys soon.